Wow, mustache caught me off guard. You're watching NFL Daily. We're going to hit you with the latest news and rumors. I'm Mitchell Renz, maybe Uncle Rico. Next to me is Tom Downey, and we're going to dive in around a lot about some quarterbacks because, Tom, Deshaun Watson, okay, he is expected to sign his extension before quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and this makes all the sense in the world for the Texans, which kind of makes me wonder, is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, there's some give and take involved in all the parties involved. Like, Houston wants to get that deal done first. Yep. The Chiefs probably want to get their deal done first. Maybe Watson and Mahomes don't want to get their deal done first, but somebody has to, right?
Sure.
So the way you do that, if you're the team, is you be proactive. You have to know that this Deshaun Watson extension, factoring in what Wilson got, a year plus ago, or I guess it's almost a year plus ago, with an expected rising salary cap, with what Dak's going to get, and with knowing Mahomes is out there, Watson can wait if he wants to. You have to go above and beyond what the other quarterbacks are making. You probably might have to start at $40 million.
Absolutely.
Because Watson has all of the leverage here.
All the leverage. And, I think if you're the Texans and if you're the Chiefs, you obviously can't let either of these players go, who I would argue both top 5 quarterbacks. We'll get into it here in a little bit. But since they've come into the league, I almost would argue they've kind of changed the league a little bit. Definitely Patrick Mahomes, who has just been – you can't even really compare him to anyone, in my opinion.
I actually wouldn't consider Watson as changing the league.
No, not as much?
No.
Mobile
Mahomes,
quarterback?
Yes. If you're looking for a mobile quarterback to change the league, wouldn't it be Lamar?
Sure. That's fair. I guess I think we're getting back into this, mobile
Watson's
quarterbacks
great.
being able to work again.
Watson's great. Don't get me wrong on that one. I just wouldn't consider him a game changer quite yet.
Ooh, I don't know.
Changing the actual game.
Okay, if we're comparing Watson or Mahomes, sure, I would take Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But either way, both of these quarterbacks going to get paid a lot of money. I think we both would agree Patrick Mahomes is a top 5 quarterback. So we want to know from you, is Deshaun Watson a top 5 quarterback? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Throw it in the comments down there below. And I'm going to ask this question, Tom, because I saw Dan Orlovsky, okay? He broke down his top 5 quarterbacks, and Deshaun Watson wasn't in his top 5. Here's Dan Orlovsky's top 5.
I am fine with the 3. I think you can argue differing order if you want to of Mahomes, Wilson, and Lamar. Much was made. There was a big debate about Dak versus Wentz. The correct answer is Dak, at least for now, but both guys are great. I actually have an issue with Brady being 4.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue, and just so we're all clear, Orlovsky already came out and said, yeah, the producers were like, can you put Wentz at 5? And he's like, sure.
Wow.
It's just built to generate controversy,
pushover.
which means he did win, by the way.
What a pushover.
Also, Orlovsky wants that Eagles quarterbacks coach job.
So that's Dan Orlovsky's top 5 quarterbacks. So then I said, hey, Tom, send me your top 5.
Very close.
But first, I'm going to give you mine. And remember, if you don't like my top 5 quarterbacks, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's at MitchellRenz365. Take a screenshot, spread the word. So I had Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, my top 3. And then it was tough for me with Deshaun Watson, Drew Brees. And then I do think there is a little bit of a step down from all the other quarterbacks.
I actually think the step down starts around 3 because I think you have to include Lamar in that.
Teardrop.
Yeah, teardrop. That's good to describe it. Obviously, they're all great quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
Mahomes is great, Wilson's great, Lamar's great. Tough to argue against those 3 for just this upcoming year. If you want to have concerns future long-term injury-wise, okay, sure, I guess I get that. I have some concerns beyond this year with Drew Brees. He was still awesome last year.
Yep.
He's still Drew Brees, but I think the decline kind of starting to set in. I think he does benefit playing with Sean Payton, but I'm not going to dock him for that. Then it's guys like Deshaun Watson. It's guys like Carson Wentz. It's guys like Aaron Rodgers, all kind of in that. And even, I think Dak Prescott, too. If you want to look at the numbers, guys, Dak's in top 10 of all the ones that actually matter. Across his career, across his passing, all of it's very good for Dak Prescott. Frankly, Watson and Dak's numbers actually are very similar. The difference is, one won an overtime game this year, and then one was a first-round pick. Dak Prescott had his record-wise worst year ever, but, you can watch the Cowboys games. They really weren't all his fault.
So we showed you Dan Orlovsky's, I showed you mine, and Tom showed his. Sounds a little weird out of context, but what I want you to do is scroll on down, okay, in the comments section, and I want you to put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And next to those numbers, I want you to give us your top 5 quarterbacks entering 2020. Let's continue the show here, Tom. NFL teams, they are scared or reluctant to go out and sign Cam Newton, who is the top free agent quarterback, in my opinion, still left here on the market.
This is understandable when you approach it from the mindset of NFL teams, which is a coward's mindset. They are terrified of injuries. They are overly conservative. It shows up in their game planning as well. If they don't have access to their own Newton medicals at the quarterback spot for the money Newton was going to be asking for, they're not going to have enough interest.
Sure. Especially if Cam Newton wants to be a starting quarterback, like he said.
Exactly.
Which also then
isn't available right now.
And I think that's the bigger point here, right? I mean, we've had people say, oh, he should be a starting quarterback, and maybe Cam should. And actually, I don't disagree. I think Cam Newton, when fully healthy, deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
It's a big win, though.
But that's the issue, right? I mean, he played in only 2 games last year. He battled injuries in 2018 even. And right now, with everything going on with the Big C, because that's a big part of this as well, right? I mean, we've never had an offseason like we've had this year. It's never happened. So with the Big C, with the injury concerns, and with play where you can point the finger and say he has not been as good over his last 7 games, basically, I think that would make teams worried to go out and get a quarterback, because somebody like Cam Newton, he's probably still going to make $7 million, at least, right? I mean, if Andy Dalton and Marcus Mariota are making $7 million, I would imagine if Cam Newton's a backup, he's also going to go out and
Dalton's
make
making $3, by the way.
$3 million.
$3 million.
Okay.
Like 1.5 for Winston.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, so before I get to the next thing in Cam Newton, I have this question. What's better, okay? Like, honestly, what's better, the football game or tailgating?
It's the game.
You think it's the game?
It's the game, because I can drink whenever. I can't watch an actual football game.
See, I think it's the tailgate, because I can watch the game and I can do a watch party here at Chat Sports. That's a great fun. Tailgating, though, is all about the experience.
With
That's
no
what I want.
game, there is no tailgate.
I don't know about that. You can still tailgate.
Then you then you can go do it whenever.
Well, how about this, Tom? I'll make you a deal. If you want to go to the game and if you want to tailgate, I think we all need to do our part. Wash your hands and stay safe. Go to chatsports.com/stay safe, and you can rep your favorite team. So if you need to go to a game, if you want to go to a game, you can buy these face masks. You can get 3 of them for only $24.99. You're a team. Go ahead, rep them. It's chatsports.com/stay safe. Bottom line, do I really want to wear a face mask? No. But if it's the only way I can tailgate, if it's the only way I can go to a game, if it's the only way I can cover this mustache, yeah,
I need the sports to come back. So let's just, try and go above and beyond and be safer out there.
Okay, let's go back in now to Cam Newton. And I saw an article out there, you sent it to me, from ESPN. They dive into, some of the best fits for Newton. They said the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, which I thought was a little bit intriguing because both of those teams are not looking for a starting quarterback.
Exactly, and I think that's the issue right now. You mentioned earlier there isn't really a great fit as a starter, but in terms of backups, I think there are some very intriguing options. Now, the report on the Seahawks side is that they would be open to adding Newton.
Yep.
Depending on cost, which of course is always an issue there. Seattle makes sense because their quarterback depth chart room is borderline non-existent.
Thin.
Quarterback room, not quarterback depth room. That doesn't
very,
make sense.
very, very
I like
thin.
Anthony Gordon.
I do too.
For the record, he'd be a good backup. But Seattle is not invested at the quarterback spot behind Wilson.
I mean, the Seahawks are doing the prime
He's
time.
never hurt.
I think they're doing what the Cowboys used to do, kind of where you're like, all right, I'm going to invest all my money into one guy, and then I don't really need to worry about so much the backups because if Wilson goes down, well, guess what? We're kind of screwed anyway. But I do think in terms of fitting an offense, Cam Newton would actually fit the Seahawks offense.
Yeah, they're going to run the ball because they're idiots, so it's fine.
Okay. All right, let's go now to the Rams quarterback depth chart here where we got Jared Goff and then
See, here's the issue. You can't bring in Newton if you're the Rams.
Why?
Because a healthy Newton is better than your starting quarterback.
I mean, no disrespect to Cam. I think Jared Goff's a good quarterback, but I think in terms of how this offense works, I still think that Jared Goff would help with this offense because it's still based off of play action.
In all seriousness, the biggest issue with adding Newton to the Rams is that, A, the offensive line has been rough, and when Goff has protection, he's great. It's when he doesn't, when he's under pressure, under duress, that he really kind of falls apart. If Newton doesn't have good protection, he's going to get hurt again.
Well, that's something.
That's your problem.
Jared Goff and I have something in common. When we have protection, we do great. So, speaking of the Rams here, Tom, I want you to grade these new uniforms.
T for trash.
So here are the new uniforms by the Los Angeles Rams who are like, you know what? I don't want to just have a crappy logo. I want to have crappy jerseys too. So get your grades in here, A, B, C, D, or F. I am not as harsh as Tom. I'm only going to go with the C. Tom, what's your grade?
I'm going to give it a D and also a 5 because I look forward to in 5 years when the Rams have a new set of jerseys that look a whole lot like the older ones that were way better. People have tried to tell me that the bone-on-bone, their words, not mine, is good. It's actually not because you went with, frankly, gray. Like, that's gray up there. You can look at the shoulders. The white is there. I don't know why you would try and contrast white with gray and a almost neon yellow. That doesn't make sense to me. Also, across the board, NFL college teams, stop fading jersey numbers. Why are you going from yellow to white? It just isn't good.
You guys can find on
it's not good.
Next week's show, we're going to do the fashion report with Tom Downey. So make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney.
Chargers, Bucks, Browns, Falcons, Rams. There, I've ranked the 5 new jerseys this year.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Continue to get your grades in here for the Rams' new jerseys. Let's now go to the next thing here. It's around free agent running back LeSean McCoy. And this is a little bit intriguing, right? So I saw this report come out that, he says that he wants to play with a team that fits his style, but he's also said that he's turned down offers with other NFL teams until he gets in the right situation. And then he also goes on to say that, well, he played with the Chiefs, so he can't just play with anyone. Am I the only one that thinks kind of the Chiefs are the absolute perfect fit for LeSean McCoy?
Well, I think his point there was that, the Chiefs aren't going to bring him back.
Sure.
So he's looking for a closer fit. It's always weird to me when players claim, oh, yes, I've had multiple offers.
Sure you have.
And they remain unsigned. Have you really, though? Have you really?
I mean, I like LeSean McCoy. I mean, I think at one point I would have even made the argument that he's probably the best running back in the league. I would have made that argument probably back in 2013. And, growing up in Pennsylvania, I remember good days where I forget the guy's name where he just shouts, Shady! But when open field, you couldn't stop him. Go look it up if you don't believe me.
I have no idea what
you have
you're
no idea
talking
what
about.
His nickname. He just screams his nickname. I don't know. It's maybe a Philadelphia thing.
If anyone knows in the comments, let us know.
Regardless, LeSean McCoy, I still think can at least bring something to a backfield, right?
Here's the issue with McCoy, because the NFL in reality is very ageist. Like, they don't like older players. Because at the bottom of your roster, like LeSean McCoy, I think we're in agreement here, top 90 back in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So there's a roster spot for him. You normally carry 3 backs. You got 32. Easy math, right?
In the comments, give us your top 89.
The issue is that number 3 back normally helps you on special teams or on punt returns or on punt coverage or kick coverage or something like that. Shady doesn't do that for you at this stage in his career. And he would be a little more expensive than a cheap random UDFA who's never going to play anyway.
So he said,
so that's the issue.
He has also said, at the Super Bowl that he'd be willing to go back with the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that's kind of gave him, a start. And it's kind of interesting because there was a report that came out about the Eagles looking for a pass-catching running back. They said they were connected to Carlos Hyde, but I mean, honestly, would you pick Carlos Hyde or LeSean McCoy?
Shady for that particular team in that particular role. McCoy is starting to run into the same issue Peterson ran into for a while, where he almost had to be a starter or at least a key rotation guy to make a roster, and there weren't that many spots that were out there at that point.
I agree. So LeSean McCoy, where is he going to end up playing football in 2020? For those of you that are watching this live on YouTube and watching this on Facebook, I want you to scroll on down and let us know where Shady McCoy is going to play in 2020. All right, Tom, the last thing here on today's NFL Rumors and News show, extending virtual offseason program through the end of May. It was set to end on May 15th, and not that this is too big of a surprise,
kind of like
but
a formality, frankly.
It's still something that I think is notable for today's show.
I think this was the correct move by the NFL. They're going to run into some very tricky situations where, ideally you wouldn't have any facilities open up until they can all open up just because of competitive balance issues. It's not fair, for example, if the 49ers can't open up their facilities, but the Dallas Cowboys or the Bucks or Jags could. That's not fair necessarily. But in order to play the season, you might be in a scenario where, hey, California hasn't opened back up yet. 80% of the other states have. If you want the season to go, you kind of got to do it. So the NFL is working through all of those different scenarios there.
I also think, though, the NFL needs to kind of see what the NBA does, right? And I mean, the NBA is kind of the guinea pig here in this situation where they had to postpone / cancel their season first or whatnot. So the NFL now, they need to see.
NFL got lucky.
they need to be able to see what the NBA does, and I think based on what the NBA does is what the NFL is going to do. So I think they all need to work together, and honestly, I'm not too upset that Roger Goodell is not going to be making too many important decisions.